Hey, everybody, welcome to Mattman, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarian. Rich Stambolian is not here. Actually, my luggage is in his chair right now because I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Las Vegas. But with me via telesatellite, Matt Ryan. What's going on?
Hello, I'm well. Manos Pariba, hands up high. Shout out to Savio Vega, Tio Savio, one of the nicest men I've ever worked with in pro wrestling.
Savio?
So I'm really, he's a sweetie.
He was my favorite wrestler in like 1995.
That's fair.
Shawn Michaels, Savio Vega. Those were the top two. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not
95
kidding.
AB, that's not bad.
You know what? It was like, I felt like there was something so familiar about Savio Vega to me. You know, like growing up in New York. I had a bunch of friends that their dads were Savio Vega. It was like a thing, you know? Like, I had a bunch of friends. It was so familiar to me. I absolutely loved him as a wrestler. I thought he would throw those high kicks.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. He's not like this svelte little guy. He was doing tumbles and he was doing jumps and kicks. How do you not love him?
He was legit. Like, he was a legit bad dude, and he was able to take all the stuff that he did while as TNT in Puerto Rico and somewhat reinvent himself. But you know what? The match I never got to see that I always wanted to see.
What?
Kwang versus Savio Vega. Two guys with a martial arts style going at it, having a big match.
That would have been, I think, and add TNT in there too. 3-way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Guys, the show is all about professional wrestling. It's AEW Double or Nothing weekend coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view. You could buy it online. You could watch it in a movie theater. I know that Johan Promotions is working with them on this, put it in a couple theaters, and I'm going to be there live. I'm very 1 to 10 stress-wise about this trip. I'm like at a 15, but that's fine. I'll be okay.
What happened? What happened?
Just life.
Sweetie,
it's okay.
No.
It's just life.
No, don't be stressed. You're going to Las Vegas on Memorial Day weekend. What can go wrong?
Yeah,
I'm going to get a call on Monday morning.
Well, Monday I'm going to LA. I have a meeting in LA. Yeah.
Oh God, this is going to end. This is going to end.
Yeah.
I don't not poorly, not badly, just end.
Well, it's going to be a busy trip, but listen, man, it's going to be a great show. I'm glad to see a bunch of people over there. The F4W convention is happening. You can get more information on their website, obviously. Also, the Facebook group on Facebook, the F4W convention group. We're going to do a suite party at the Cosmo that I'm hosting with Garrett Gonzalez. A couple surprises will appear at the suite party. We have a bunch of stuff going on, man. It's going to be a busy weekend. I'm excited for it. So let's go head first. Dynamite last night. This was the go home. Right?
Yeah.
More than Friday. This is the go home. They started the show with the steel cage match with Wardlow and Shawn Spears. MJF as a special guest referee. Can I tell you, I absolutely hate the heel ref thing.
I get it as a device, putting on the Booker hat here. But as a device, it makes total sense. And it tips the hat a little too much because the way the angle is stacked. Like, you can't not have that match on Sunday. But you also are putting yourself in a position to where Max has to show his ass a little bit before possibly getting decimated in front of God and everybody on pay-per-view. And this is a loss that MJF kind of has to take. So I get why they're doing it. And it's the only real way to stack the deck against someone like Wardlow, who they've turned into, I'd say 89, 90 Sid. He's turned into that kind of guy.
89, 90 Sid. You're not going with Goldberg. You're going with 89, 90 Sid.
No, because it's the pop for the power bomb. Like, if you remember when it was either Skyscraper Sid or Horseman Sid, he was over like Rover with that.
Yeah.
And it was just building and building and building. And also, I don't think Goldberg's he's not an equitable comp on this. He's not. Goldberg is only Goldberg. You cannot compare anybody else to Goldberg because of the circumstances surrounding how he got into the business, when he got into the business, all of these other things. The only equitable comp to him is Kevin Nash.
Right? Like, this is a terrible comparison, okay? Terrible comparison. Ryback. Okay? Not an even comparison. I'm not comparing Wardlow to Ryback, but it was essentially the same attempt, right? Get a big jacked up dude. And this just shows you what charisma does, because Wardlow has tons more charisma than Ryback did. But Ryback got over.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, what happened, they were doing that run with Punk where he was, he was breaking the record of how many days as champion or whatever that was, right? What was it, 400 and something days?
Yeah.
They wanted to do that, so he couldn't drop the title, and they were sitting in limbo, and the person that was going to beat him was The Rock, so you couldn't have Ryback there. It was a very bizarre moment for them in 2013.
Yeah, and that is that's why I think the WWE tries to control who gets pushed, who gets over, and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Because you have all these plans. And as my turkey neck gobble saying I know more about wrestling than other people, it's not necessarily true. But when you're in that position and you're like, we have to get to Rock in January, or tomorrow, or like Sunday, we have to get to Punk at Double or Nothing. Because you and I were talking about it last night. There's no, what do you do outside of giving Punk the belt? Do you turn Hangman full heel and have him cheat to win? Do you like?
Yeah, we'll go into that, because that face to face was really interesting. So MJF came out wearing the HBK biker shorts.
Yes,
and a Burberry.
I popped for that.
I popped for that too. And a Burberry referee shirt. Spears accidentally hit MJF with the chair. Bryce came out to count the pin after the powerbomb symphony, and there was a schmaz at the end. Everybody, a bunch of security attacked them, and it was okay. It was fine for what it was. They set it up exactly the way it was supposed to be, and this is leading into the match.
Yeah. They got the job done.
Yeah, they got the job done. Right after this, they go into Hangman Page and CM Punk face to face. Punk comes out to a big pop, but they were turning on him. The crowd was not 50-50 split. I think it was more towards Hangman than him, but Hangman was playing not a heel, but very aggressive. There was the big story here is that nobody likes CM Punk. He's not helpful to anybody. He's not kind to anybody. He's just, the light goes on, he goes outside and goes to the back, and he doesn't really do much with anybody or help anybody. And that was a story that they were telling, that CM Punk is a selfish, established star from the other brand that's coming here to kind of use his power to be put into a position, right?
Yeah, it's kind of telling the meta narrative of CM Punk to a lot of people who've said similar things about him in the past in other positions and other promotions.
There was no difference between the MJF promo. This was the fascinating part, right? That promo the Hangman cut, he was saying exactly the same things that MJF was saying to Punk. Nobody wants you here. Nobody likes you in the back.
Well, it's kind of it's what the audience is saying in a certain respect when people from the other side of the street come over. It's pseudo gatekeeping, but I don't mean it in a negative context. It's we have built this thing on our own. It's cool that you're here, but this isn't about you. This business isn't about you anymore. It is about us. It is our turn. You should be sitting at commentary or just treating this like your farewell tour. You should not be in the main event of this pay-per-view.
And there's truth behind that. There's definitely talent in that company that feels that, kind of the wheels for their push and their elevation came off the truck when Punk, Danielson, Hangman, Adam Cole came over. Now you're seeing more WWE, Rusev went over. There's a lot of Andrade. There's a lot of names that you didn't anticipate to come over. I don't think anybody had in their 2021 AEW bingo sheet that CM Punk and Danielson would debut in that company at, in January. Maybe in January, but maybe, during the pandemic era, nobody was thinking that this was going to happen, and it did. And it's a very different company now.
And this is like in '89, if Piper and Savage came over, if Bret Hart came over, these are those guys.
Yeah.
When you're looking at Miro, you're looking at Andrade, you're looking at Danielson. It's the what could have been of WCW. And I think this is how it actually would play out, not angle-wise, but philosophically. Because you take a look at that 89 WCW roster and you juxtapose it to today.
Have you been watching a lot of 89 WCW?
No, it's just the first comp that came to mind. Or like we'll take it to another narrative. Yeah. The WHA.
Okay.
They were the competition to the NHL in the 70s. And like when a Gordie Howe came over, or a Bobby Hull came over, like for a last goodbye tour, and they brought their kids, and they basically got paid more money than any of the other players in the WHA. It bolsters the league. It kind of helps ticket sales, but it takes the shine off of some young players that you're trying to build around. But it also allows for opportunities for teams in Indiana to exist and draft Wayne Gretzky or Mark Messier and facilitate the next generation of hockey. So it's a Kobayashi Maru, for those non-Star Trek fans. I'm not even a Star Trek fan. I just know it culturally. It's a can't win scenario.
Yeah.
There's no perfect scenario for things like this. It's not EWR. It's not GM mode in 2K. You're dealing with real personalities, real people, and this is their job. If someone new came to your job who has a wealth of experience from another company and is in your department and you're working with them and they're getting more of the recognition but doing less of the work because of what they've done, not what they're doing, you're going to get hot about it. You're going to go to your boss and say, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's I thought it was a very honest promo from both of them. Punk poked that page until he got punched, and they moved on from there. So that's a setup. Who do you think? Do you think Punk takes the title, or do you think Hangman wins it?
I think that Hangman chasing is more valuable than Hangman with the belt. And that's not an indictment on his title reign. But the fans are turning on Punk, and you need the device to get him all the way there.
Yeah, I guess.
And the belt's that device. The belt's that weapon.
The belt's a great weapon for them, for him to turn like that. I'm into it, man. But, remember, the next pay-per-view's in Chicago, so they got to do something big with him there. Whether or not he has a title, or if he's, facing Hangman again in some gimmick match. We'll see. No. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston defeated Private Party after Jericho's crew came out, attacked Santana and Ortiz, and Danielson trying to make the save. So that program is leading into the show. All right, cool. Jericho looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Washboard abs, man. That guy really debloated. I mean, really, he looks fantastic. ROH World Tag Team Championship match, FTR versus Roppongi Vice, Rocky and Trent. Went to a no contest. What did you think of this?
I just want to say...
Jeff Cobb and Great Ocon came out.
Yeah, I'm going to attack this piece by piece. The first and most important thing is that Bobby Cruise is on television every single week, and he deserves to be on television every single week. Bobby Cruise is one of the hardest working people in pro wrestling and one of the best voices in pro wrestling. So every time Bobby Cruise is on national television, it makes me happy. And it's keeping Roppongi Vice strong. I think in a revitalized and reloaded ROH, they're the best tag team there. If FTR is doing hopping back and forth and you're not going to have Mark and Jay, I think Roppongi Vice carrying that tag division, the tag division that it was the heart of that company since the very beginning. The tag team division helped carry that company for such a long time. You got to establish the Forbidden Door show. I think that's going to be a match on. I think if they're doing this the way that it looks like, it's more than likely a triple threat for the ROH tag titles. I wouldn't be surprised if they put them on Cobb and Great Ocon at Forbidden Door.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if they put the IWGP titles on FTR.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I
can see that happening too. I'd love to see that happen.
This is Jeff Cobb's second AEW appearance, correct?
Second or third. He's made appearances in the past. He wrestled on Dynamite, I want to say 2021, 2020.
Yeah, I remember him being that. First time for Great Ocon. Great Ocon, fantastic. They interfered and they attacked both teams, so this is setting it up, like you said. We go into a Hardy's promo. Hardy's cut a promo on the Young Bucks calling them Hardy's cosplay and that they would delete the Bucks. It's the time to do this. You don't have too much longer. Jeff is beat up. Matt is beat up. They're putting on, they still have a ton of value in them. And I think that this match, I feel like this match kind of got lost. Because I think for 2 weeks, Jeff was in that tournament. So his focus was that Owen Hart tournament. He was into those crazy matches. This took a backseat, and now it's here. You're going into the Young Bucks and the Hardys. I don't know who should win. Maybe the Hardys should win. Maybe the Bucks should win. I don't think it really matters for both these guys. I think it's more of an attraction than anything else.
Yeah, this is just basically, we can do this now. Let's do this now, more than anything. And that's not an indictment on either team. It's just AEW has grown to the point where this match is third or fourth from the top on a really loaded show.
Yeah.
And that speaks to how well a lot of these matches have been booked and how they've made every single match on their pay-per-views feel important.
I think they do a great job with their pay-per-views. I don't know if this is gonna beat the record. This is a big deal, obviously. We'll see what it does compared to last year's pay-per-view. It might do better. We'll see what happens. So we got a three-way here. Swerve Strickland defeated Jungle Boy and Ricky Starks. Swerve looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Jungle Boy was showing his frustration at certain points in this match, which is kind of adding to it. I thought these three had a great match.
Yeah, I missed part of it because playoff hockey is happening, and I'm obsessed with it. And the Mets lost earlier in the day, so I needed to watch something that would make me not angry. But I like where they're going with this. There's a lot of different roads they can go down. I think they're obviously tipping the hand that the Jurassic Express is going to lose the belts on Sunday. I would love to see Team Taz win it. I think that the combination of Starks and Hobbs is one of the best dynamics in wrestling.
Yeah, they're really good.
Taz with them as a mentor just kind of gives them so much more legitimacy that you can credibly put the tag belts on them. And I think it's time for both of those guys to level up. I love Swerve and Keith Lee. It's a random pairing of two guys who are great singles competitors, but also make a great tag team.
They make a very good tag team. Better than I thought, Yeah.
And it's time for Jack Perry, Jungle Boy to evolve and a feud with Christian with Luchasaurus in the middle, or figuring out that next evolution for all three of those characters could be really, really great television because Christian plays a great prick.
Yeah.
And
no, he does.
Jungle Boy needs a true rival or someone to bring out the best in him. And I don't think there's anybody better to do that than Christian.
I think I would love to see that, but the size difference is going to be so big. Because Christian was just like a regular guy in WWE. Over there, he's like towering over everybody.
Yeah, but then you can sell. But you can sell the story.
Christian was a smaller guy. Remember that. 20 years ago, Christian was a smaller guy in wrestling.
But take a look at how the business has rapidly evolved over the last 20 years. Size has mattered less and less, and
starting to matter again. It's happening. Yeah. I'm telling you. I've spoken to a couple people at both companies, and everybody thinks AEW is not on. They don't care about size. They do care about size.
I think they care. They care about magnitude.
And you know what? Magnitude, overall size. Yeah. I'm not saying be jacked to the gills, but big. And
I think that people are starting to get that message, but also let's talk about like star power. There are people who have it. Jack Perry, Jungle Boy, has it. But he's also really young and has not like really
Davey Boy. That's how big Jungle Boy needs to get. He needs to become like Davey. Yeah, he does. Stop it. He's gonna get big like Davey Boy, like whatever height he is. That hair, and imagine him at like 235.
235, 225 would be a good, I am in no way, look at me for God's sake. I look like a goalie coach that got fired. But the aesthetic stuff.
Got fired. You do look like a goalie coach that got fired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Too aggressive.
Or the lead singer of a alt rock band, I look like I should be singing in an airplane over the sea at a bar somewhere in Williamsburg.
Not too far off. The three-way we got Dan Lambert with Man of the Year. Lambert said that, so people didn't realize. I think a lot of people are confused. I don't know why. The belt got destroyed. Sammy destroyed the belt. Okay, the TNT title.
Yeah,
Lambert said
that's what baby faces do.
That's what well, he's not anymore, right? He's like a sleazy dirtbag heel. He's a hot boy. What do you want?
Then why is he? Whatever.
I know. He's a hot boy. He has a hot girlfriend. He's a hot boy, and they're just the worst. Perfect.
This isn't bad booking, by the way. It's bad timing because up until
he was getting over big time as a babyface.
Yeah, he was over like Rover, and then everybody got mad that he's dating one of the most attractive humans walking the planet, and they love the fact that they're in love with each other.
Yeah.
And, I hate myself, so everybody else must be mad all the damn time.
That's how it is.
Hence, we're here now, and somehow Scorpio Sky is a tremendous heel, but you can feel sympathy for him. You can respect him. He earned that title. He earned that title shot. But it's just like, I love Men of the Year, and I love Dan Lambert. I unironically love Dan Lambert. Like, I'm an MMA guy.
Fantastic.
I've worked with Dan before.
Yeah, you have. I forgot. He gets it. Yeah, he totally gets it. And he gets a late 1970s, 80s, heel manager. He gets it so well. Unfortunately, that's a relic of the past. It works for us. It works in AEW. I don't think it would work anywhere else, but by that I mean WWE. But fantastic, it works. So is this maybe leading to a mixed tag being added or a Dynamite? I don't know. It's leading to something. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Owen Hart Cup semifinals. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, defeated Tony Storm. I got to tell you, Tony's fantastic, right? Like Tony has a fantastic look. Has it? There's something special about her in ring. I felt that these two did not have chemistry.
Two different styles.
There was something off. And you know what? I think Britt's really good. I think Tony's really good. I felt that something was lost. And I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. It's just one of those times where the chemistry isn't right, the story of the match, and it just could be A plus B equals, this just didn't go the way
sometimes
we wanted
people don't
it to.
have it. The chemistry's not there. I mean, great example of this on a much different level. Undertaker and Steve Austin.
Yeah.
They did not have chemistry in the ring. It just, their matches were never great.
I liked their Cold Day in Hell match.
Which one was that?
The 97. No, 97, a In Your House. That was that had the fucky finish.
But Austin was working different at that point, right? His neck, he didn't have the Owen Hart.
It was the pay-per-view or two pay-per-views before he broke his neck.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think maybe Austin had more ability at that point, but we'll see. I thought I got to check that match out. I got to watch it. We'll see what happens with these two. I'd like to see them have another match and kind of correct a lot of this. Samoa Joe, main event. Samoa Joe defeated Kyle O'Reilly to move on to the finals to face Adam Cole for the Owen Hart Cup finals. Very good match, man. These two have, talk about chemistry. These two have fantastic chemistry. Kyle O'Reilly is so, what a great in-ring talent. And great that he could showcase it on the main event on the show.
Kyle O'Reilly is one of the 10 best wrestlers on the planet. Samoa Joe might be my favorite current professional wrestler that's not Bryan Danielson in a major company. And just that combination together, I would watch that match every week. If that was a headlining feud anywhere in pro wrestling, I would be tuning in every single week.
AEW Rampage on Friday. I'll be there. I'll be at Rampage.
Ooh.
It's like at 2:30 in the afternoon. Very early. Owen Hart Cup semifinal, Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander to determine who goes to the finals. Young Bucks in action. Bryan Danielson versus Matt Sydal. What a nice little treat you get here. And the new TNT title is unveiled. We get that. Let's go quickly. Boom, 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 rapid fire. Double or nothing.
Yep.
All right. The buy-in, you got Hook and Danhausen, Dan Danhausen, as I call him, versus Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling. Obviously, Hook and Danhausen here, right?
Yeah, Hookhausen up. I think that Nice and Hook are going to do a lot of the worky stuff. I think the finish is Danhausen up on Mark.
Owen Hart Cup Finals. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander or Ruby Soho. Owen Hart Cup Finals for the men. Samoa Joe, Adam Cole. Who takes this? Joe
I got
Cole?
some Samoa Joe, Ruby Soho. I could also
Cole.
see I can see Cole winning the men's, but I got Ruby winning the women's.
Okay, I don't know. I don't want to predict the other one. Okay, if it's Ruby, I think Ruby should win it. Samoa Joe and Cole. I'm gonna go with Cole. MJF Wardlow. Wardlow. Okay, me too.
It's a credible loss he can take.
Anarchy in the Arena. The Jericho Appreciation Society versus Eddie Kingston, Santana and Ortiz, Moxley, and Bryan Danielson.
Heels up leads to blood and guts.
Heels up. Yep, me too. Death Triangle versus House of Black.
House of Black.
I'm going to go Death Triangle. Young Bucks versus the Hardys.
Bucks up, but leads to a rematch at All Out.
Okay. The final one.
Yeah.
In a tables, ladders, chair match.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you would do it.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yeah. TBS Championship, Jade Cargill, Anna Jay. I'm going to go with Jade.
You can't take the belt off of Jade.
Yeah, no. You got to have her keep that thing forever. AEW World Tag Team Championship on the line. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus face Powerhouse Hobbs, Ricky Starks versus Keith Lee, Swerve. I think put it on Keith Lee and Swerve.
Really?
Yep. I'm leaning towards there.
I like that option, but I'm going with Ricky and Hobbs.
Okay. Some sort of weird ending with Christian.
Yeah.
Maybe Christian costs them the title.
No, I think it could be miscommunication into the finish, and then Christian slaps Jungle Boy. Ah!
Yeah. Thunder Rosa, Serena Deebs.
I think Serena wins it.
I'd like to see Serena with it, but I don't want to take the title off of Thunder Rosa yet.
Yeah, it's one of those matches where you don't want to do it, but you have a more than enough reason to do so. Like, nothing against Thunder Rosa, but Serena is having a really good run now, and the women's division has been at its best with a heel being chased by babies because and also I think that there's a lot of imbalance between the amount of heels they have and the amount of babies they have. And I think their women's division has been booked the best when they've had a heel champion.
Yeah. So let's continue it. It both work for me. Here we go. Hangman Page and CM Punk.
I'm going with Charles Montgomery Punk. I got Punk.
You got Punk.
I think.
Does that building boo him?
Oh, he's got to cheat to win, or this is Summer of Punk 4. I see them doing that.
Who dethrones him then? Does he continue in Chicago? I mean, there's a lot of question here. The Chicago element kind of plays a part in this. Who his next opponent will be. Kenny Omega and his status plays a part in this. So I think there's a lot of moving parts. I don't want to see them do the rematch. I don't want to see like Hangman win and they go back to this. I want to keep moving.
No, I think Hangman loses in a not so great manner. It sets up Punk Okada at
that's what you're thinking, huh?
I'm just hypothesizing. I'm doing like wish.
I mean, what kind of match would that be?
It would be an interesting one.
Yeah. Very different styles.
I think that
totally different generations.
Yeah. I'd have a lot to see if we what we get out of it, to be completely honest.
Me too. That's the card for Double or Nothing. Let's go into some news here. By the way, where can people follow you?
People can follow me on Twitter at Matt Ryan Yells. That's Matt Ryan Yells on Twitter. I had to change it for work purposes, but it's Matt Ryan Yells on the Twitter machine.
So I spoke to you about this last night on how to kind of say this, right? Because I think words matter, especially with topics of releases and people going away and things like that. I'm trying to find my notes that I scribbled on a piece of paper and I sent to you.
They were on a cocktail napkin. They were hastily written on a cocktail napkin.
Written on a cocktail napkin. So a lot of changes, obviously, in WWE over the last couple of years, right? The corporate structure is very, very different nowadays. I would say that if those meetings where you have like those executive committee meetings, which I've been in a couple, not in WWE. Never fun, those meetings, by the way. No. It's a whole new world in this company, right? Like Nick is like a senior in that room because of how many people have turned over the last couple of years. You know, a lot of this started with the Fox deal. That was a huge deal for that company. A lot of the changes started when, you know, you're on national television, you're on Fox, local. You play by a different set of rules. Nick Khan has brought a very different perspective to this company. And you could tell, by the way, look at it this way, right? The releases, right? Very different mindset. You're not hoarding the talent. You're you're releasing the talent that's not working, or was working that for whatever reason you're releasing them. You're evaluating talent way more than you would have historically, especially in developmental, where I doubt we will ever see a day where we have guys like, the perfect 10 being there for 10 freaking years.
Yeah.
Right? Like that was not productive for anybody. And they had a moment with him, but I think because they got so stagnant with the concept of letting these guys sit there and marinate that they rotted. And they couldn't do anything when they finally brought him up. I mean, his moment was that Royal Rumble, and he had a great moment in that Rumble. And you know what? They should have gone full force behind him at that point. He was everything that they would imagine. He had the 10 thing, the foam fives. You know, you could have the foam 10 fingers thing you could do. The whole building would love it.
Yeah.
It didn't pan out because of the philosophy at the time. But we're seeing a lot of changes here. One being the lack of McMahons in that company.
Yeah,
we did not talk about this. We did not talk about this on Mat Men, but we did talk about it on another show. I forgot which one that I did. I've spoken about this before, but
I think it was Wrestling Observer Live.
It could have been Observer. Stephanie McMahon took a leave of absence. She put it out last week. She put out a statement saying that Friday would be her last day. She wants to concentrate more on her family, and they essentially she has a place back in that company, right? It's not like she's gone, but she's taking a leave. Yesterday, WWE posted a job listing for Director of Brand and Marketing. I mean, that's essentially Steph's job, right?
Yeah.
And if you're taking a leave, obviously you need to fulfill that position. But there was a little more to this. So I reached out to somebody at WWE on a high level, by the way. Like, I'm not, and I don't want to speculate this. I'm not going to say he for he. I'm not going to say she for her. Just I'm putting it out there in the universe, okay? So you do whatever you want to do with this. I had a nice conversation with somebody over there yesterday. I actually had called about something else, and the conversation kind of led to this. And the Stephanie situation is, I asked, I'm like, what's the story here? Because when it's her company, you know what I mean? Like in a lot of people's minds, she owns 2.5% of the company, the shares. I mean, that's like $100 and something million. She was the golden child, right? The replacement for Vince in a lot of people's minds. Maybe I'm not talking about in corporate in WWE. I'm saying in general, in a lot of the fans and the followers. But a lot of these changes and a lot of the issues started happening, and it was indicated right after George Barrios and Michelle Wilson got fired. And, for people who don't know, they were co-presidents in that company. Both two very different skill sets, but they worked very well together. And one of the responsibilities, and this was indicated to me on this call, one of the responsibilities that Steph ended up, inheriting when Michelle Wilson left was advertising and sponsorship. Okay? And in a kind of a not a straightforward way, right? And I'll say it that way. And I found this to be so fascinating. this was said. There were some doubt put on Steph's ability to be able to lead this.
Wow. Yeah.
As an executive. Now, that's not saying that, she was doing a bad job. Nothing like that, right? But, I mean, just even those words that were said says something to me, right? That there was some sort of issue or disconnect or something wasn't connecting. By the way, Nick Khan now has taken over all of Steph's responsibilities, right? A lot of the things people would report to Steph are now reporting to Nick, especially and the sales and advertising side, which they should, because this guy is, he's one of the best in as far as what he's doing. He's made so much money for this company, so you can't really. Oh, thank you. There we go. Intern Deacon with a glass of water here while we're doing this. So one of the issues that was brought up to me was that there was a lack of official sponsors, and during, investors were questioning at the lack of sales here. Like, and the comparison was UFC. That was set specifically to me. I'm trying to correct my notes here. And there was doubt put on her with this. Not to be said she wasn't, I'm not saying that she wasn't doing a great job at the other aspects of her position, but I've never heard that before from anybody, right? Like, you would hear Stephanie McMahon's creative ability running the creative team, right? But that's a creative position. That's a position that's very difficult, and you could be fantastic at it for 6 months, and then you just run out of ideas and you move on to something else. This on a corporate structure is the first time I've ever heard anything negative like this. And
yeah, it is. It's really weird.
Listen, you know what it says to me? This company is changing. And it's going beyond the McMahons. Good or bad, I don't know. I don't know if that's a positive. I don't know if that's a negative. But, great example here, right? And you could see the old guard and the new guard, right? The way that things are being processed. Spring 2021 ad sales, I believe Claudine Lillian? Lillian, Lillian, right? Yeah, Claudine Lillian from Fox. Yeah, Claudine Lillian was hired and to kind of spearhead the sponsorships and ad acquisition, things like that. And she was let go a month ago. So, and now you're hiring a new brand, director of brand and marketing. You're hiring, obviously, a new sales team. They're reporting to Nick Khan. I don't know what any of this means, right? In the long run. I don't want to speculate on a sale. I think it's too premature to do that. But it is fascinating that we are now in a post-McMahon WWE. I mean, obviously, Vince is still at the helm, but a lot of the things that people are saying, like, well, the old man, Vince McMahon made this decision. He's not making a lot of these calls.
No.
Obviously, he's running the company. It's his company. He's still spearheading everything. But there are a million other people making decisions where normally it would be, 10, 15 years ago, it would have been 2 or 3 people making those decisions. Now, that company has spread into a full-force corporate media empire. And the fact that you are hiring someone for Steph's position, the fact that it was said to me that there was some doubt put on her ability, it's, I don't, maybe it is true 100% that she was not fulfilling her obligation in certain aspects of her job. Maybe this could be some sort of weird corporate positioning here. I'm not saying it is, by the way. I'm just throwing out different ideas. But the fact that this was said to me from somebody that is there it's not like the ring crew that said this to me. You know what I mean? It's not like some random sales guy that said this to me. This was, I have no reason to doubt this person's words to me. Right? If that's how they feel, obviously that's how they feel. But it was specific, and I said, is this something that you feel? They said, no, this is something that is that has been said and heard and thought of.
So,
I believe the indication was that she may have a different responsibilities when she comes back. It may not be the same job. Maybe it's going to be something else. there is a lot of restructuring. Hunter's a great example of this. Triple H is not in the same position he was in. He's been back for a couple months now, full time, and he's not doing that job anymore. He's not doing, obviously he's doing recruitment and talent scouting and things like that, but he's not sitting there with the headset on screaming at NXT tapings.
No.
What do you make of this?
It's a lot to unpack.
It's a ton to unpack because I've never heard any kind of criticism like this come.
Well, their loyalty isn't to the McMahon family. Their loyalty is to the logo, to the brand, to the shield.
Yeah. And this is a corporation now. You're not...
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a great example, right? I have clients, and this is a terrible example on a small, but I have clients that I work for, that I do, whatever, social media, digital marketing, business strategy, reevaluating their PN. I go over their P&Ls with them, and I kind of figure out everything. Oh, I got a nice phone call from California right now. I have no idea who this is. You have, I have them as a client, and I'm very loyal to them, right? I'm very loyal, even though I may not get paid as much with them that I do with other people, but I'm still very loyal because it's the people that I'm working for or I'm working with. A lot of that was a big part of WWE, the cult of WWE. You're on the machine. You're making these changes. You're creating this business. In the 80s, the 80s were a great example of this. The 90s, late 90s, you were Team WWE because you had competition. And the corporate structure was so small. Patterson, Vince, whoever, Kevin Dunn, Bruce, it was still a family operation all these years. And now we have left that family operation. More and more since they went public. But even when they went public, they were still a family-run operation. Now, you have people that don't know anything about the McMahons, don't know anything about professional wrestling. They're not professional wrestling fans. It's a job. It's a corporate job. People are hired as mercenaries. This is how the corporate world is. You are loyal to that paycheck. You are loyal to the company for the time being. And when the time comes, you jump to another brand.
Yeah.
You go to NFL, you go to NBA, you go to whatever, HBO, you could go to Turner.
I can speak to this on...
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I can speak to this almost directly.
Yeah, you've done this.
Yeah, I've done this exact thing, and I have had to have leave situations or be asked to leave situations because of my knowledge, my experience, and my passion towards specific parts of what we're talking about, and dealing with corporatization and dealing with the fact that they don't care that you care. It is about protecting the IP, protecting the contract, protecting the client, and making them happy. It is not about the audience.
Well, here's a great thing, right? Like the people that work at the NBA, right? I have a bunch of buddies that work at NBA. See, I got so used to saying WWE, not the WWE. It's the NBA, right? It's the it's the NBA,
the National Basketball Association.
I've been WWE-ized with my wording. Just no thes in front of anything, pal. The NBA has people from every sport. I mean, they come from the NFL, from the MLB. There is no loyalty to the company. You know what? It's a cool gig. You work for the NBA, you make your money, but the percentage of people that are gonna, who's the owner? You know what I mean? Like, there is no face to that company as like the loyalty to the old man that's owned the NBA. It's not like that. So with WWE, they are now going towards more how every other national media brand is set, where it's not the cult of McMahon anymore. I'm not saying it should be. I'm not saying it isn't. I don't know. I don't work there. But the dialogue has totally changed, where it's the machine. It's not what Vince is doing. It's what the machine is doing. And, that leaves you to a lot of speculation over the next couple of years in this company. The evolution of this company. Shane really doesn't do anything with them anymore. Steph is now taking a leave of absence, which she deserves it for sure. She's worked there since, of working age. She's worked in that company, so it's a healthy thing to take some time off. But you're also starting to see the attention go away from what the McMahons are deciding to now what Nick Khan is doing, what the head of sales is doing, what other elements in this company are deciding for the future of the company, and it's not Vince's decision only.
Yeah.
I think we've hit that point, and the conversation regarding Steph and her leave. By the way, I also asked, like, okay, is there anything more to her taking? She's like, no, she's taking time off for this very reason that she said. So it's not like a big, like, secret, like, oh, there's something else here. As far as what they indicated. And I'm sure they wouldn't tell me if there was a major problem. If it's a personal thing. No. And I really don't think it's a personal. But, man, this is interesting.
I feel like the WWE that we knew is dead. That version of the WWE, that version of sports entertainment is gone.
Listen, look how ambitious they are. Vince would never run 8 stadiums in a year.
They are taking a hyper aggressive focus on the industry right now because they are looking at it from the combat sports model.
Exactly.
You see what Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin's third fight was just announced. If you don't think they're searching for a stadium for that fight, if that fight's not going to take place at Allegiant or AT&T Stadium or somewhere larger than life, you're fooling yourself, because that's going to be the biggest pay-per-view card of the year. And when you look at UFC, they're in a company right now to where it's very similar to the WWE. They're repositioning themselves. There's more depth on the WWE roster than there is on the UFC roster in terms of star power. And they have more that they can tap into because they can call on Steve Austin to work last minute.
Yeah, and also they could make people win. You can't control that. You can't.
Conor McGregor breaks his leg and blows up everything you wanted to do, and you're kind of boned. But they're taking elements of what's working in boxing and in MMA. If you take a look at how the UFC handles contracts, I'm not talking about fighter pay. I'm talking about contracts and how they're developing talent, and they do rolling releases. They will do quarterly releases, and it's because they have a roster of over 200 fighters. They're paying them shit, but that's not the part of the conversation we're going to focus on here. The WWE is becoming every other major sports league, which is great for their business and is the possible worst case scenario for a lot of fans, because you're not going to get what you want. You, the person watching this right now, who wants the Attitude Era, who wants the Ruthless Aggression Era, whatever your entry point was, that's gone.
No.
You are never getting that again. And that is not necessarily saying that's a bad thing. But the WWE will become whatever it needs to be to generate income, revenue, and sponsors more than ever.
Yeah, but that's the goal of every business. Yeah, that's the goal.
I wouldn't be surprised a few years down the line, official wrestling outfits. Wrestling gear.
You could buy the official, like
partnerships with Reebok or a Nike.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they're going to be looking towards.
Well, that's what was said to me, that the lack of having the official whatever of WWE, like you have the official whatever of the UFC. They don't really have that. They don't do.
No.
That is something that has always lacked. And again, a lot of this is the business side of stuff, which I'm fascinated by. It's stuff that interests me, but storylines are always fun, but this is also like a different side of the business that you think about. And a lot of the decisions that are made for TV are made because of the business end, because of ad sales, because, merch sales. You could be a terrible wrestler, but you know what? If you're selling a bunch of merch in that company, you're going to be elevated to the top.
Yeah.
One cool t-shirt could change your whole career. And that says a lot. It's always said a lot, but it says a lot, especially now.
And if you love pro wrestling, you are not going to like the next 3 to 5 years unless your buying power because it's going to come down to buying power. Look at what the NFL is doing. Look what the UFC is doing. They're pivoting to audiences that generate billions of dollars in revenue. You see what other sports are doing and where they're positioning themselves. And the NBA and the NFL and the UFC are the models for North American sports sports leagues, sports ownerships. And you're seeing that metastasize in the WWE. The NHL and the MLB are playing catch up. For all the advancements the MLB has made in advanced media, they're not able to do the one thing that the NBA and the NFL can do, and that is make stars.
Yeah.
And make it feel larger than life. Well, baseball still feels like baseball.
Here's a great example. Tony Khan invited the Warner Media Discovery guys to attend the June 1st edition of Dynamite at the Forum, right? Why? But what is the point of this? It's to sell your product, better position your product with the corporate heads. You weren't hearing about these things before. Now, because of TV rights fees and the way that you want to make as much money as possible, and you have so many different avenues for revenue, especially for pro wrestling, these are big moments. These are things that you have to do.
And it's the way the world works. You're always selling your product for the next rights deal.
Listen, we've always done this. We've always done this. You know what the equivalent of this was with in the 80s? Give you a great example. Crockett Promotions. We want to thank the general manager of WQRT for putting us on the air each and every Saturday afternoon. That was the equivalent of it. You were talking about station managers. Now you're talking about, big corporate honchos.
And it's not even that. It's you're always selling for your next TV deal. Look at the NFL.
Yeah.
Look at what Fox just did. They gave Tom Brady a 10-year deal that pays him at least $10 million more a year than he does playing football.
Unbelievable.
You're always looking to show status, show power, and show value. I listened to the Dan Le Batard show with Stu Gatz, and the John Skipper, the guy who basically created ESPN to basically getting it on the road to where it is now, talked about, announcers aren't valuable, but they create value. They're perceived value. They're loss leaders. And that's what this is. And the WWE adding, and I'm not making a direct comp, but adding Pat McAfee, bringing in the Paul brothers, doing these larger than life events every year. This is basically showing to Comcast, to Fox, to other potential media rights partners, we're expanding. We are becoming a legitimate business. We are a legitimate sports and entertainment property that you can invest. By the way,
they've always been a legitimate business, just in the eyes of
it's market positioning, because they're no longer just running out of Stamford, Connecticut, and treating it like it's the family business. This is taking them 20 years since becoming a publicly traded company to get to this place.
Yeah,
because they had to beat the pro wrestling aspects of this company to death to get to where they are.
Listen, it is not pro wrestling. It's not. There are elements of pro wrestling, but I mean, I don't say this in a disparaging way, right? I truly believe that the future of this is like the Vegas show, a Vegas residency, like a Cirque du Soleil or whatever. This is what this company is gonna become and has become, where it's this larger than life presentation. And the layman could watch it. You could show up and you watch it and you get into it, and maybe some people follow it more. But the casual fan will be even more casual moving forward.
And the idea of the casual fan, you and I talk about this stuff at length because this is what gets us out of bed in the morning because we're carnies. But the idea of the casual fan, people argue the casual fan doesn't exist. The casual fan doesn't exist. And these, to a certain extent, you're correct. But there's waves of audiences, and this is something you taught me, and then I've applied everywhere I've gone. You have 3 waves of audience. You have your diehards, You have the people who watch tangentially. They'll watch tentpole events, like people who watch just the Super Bowl or just the baseball playoffs or just the NBA playoffs. And then you have the people who have never touched your product. Your job as a sports platform is to keep the ones, convert the twos to ones, convert the threes to twos. It is a cycle. It is a process. It is not perfect. It is not ideal. It is not what, if you're a one, you hate it because it's infringing upon what you love, but you're pot committed. Like if I had the opportunity to not be a Mets fan, probably would do it, but I'm pot committed.
Yeah.
You know, when you're a fan, you're a fanatic of something. And now more than ever, the wrestling business does more fan service than
of course,
than anything.
Well, the fans are in it now. The fans are in. Wink and a nod. The fans are in now. The fans are smart. They make it's okay for the fans to be smartened up.
Yeah.
Right? As much as they want to smarten you. I mean, but like that whole thing about treating the fans like idiots is gone. When I think it was kind of more like a detriment to them, like the fact that they hung on to like, well, it's still real thing kind of was a detriment in the long run because they like nobody. Somebody brought this up. It's really funny. Somebody in the wrestling business said that. What is that place in New Jersey? The Knights. The
Knights of Columbus and Richfield Park.
No. God,
Medieval Times.
There you go. Thank you very much. He's like, listen. He goes, when people come to medieval times, right? All those kids, the parents aren't going to the kids and be like, hey, this isn't real, right? You know what I mean? Like that never exists in that, but in pro wrestling it does. And he was saying, he's like, it's kind of bizarre to me that like there are people like the suspension of disbelief is there, but only to a certain point. You don't watch, Grey's Anatomy, terrible example, terrible show. You don't watch Grey's Anatomy and be like, Meredith Grey, she's not playing a really good doctor this season.
But Grey's Anatomy didn't start out as a documentary about doctors that turned into an episodic drama.
You know what? Maybe it did. It could have. I think that's a great idea. What a way to blur the lines.
But so much of wrestling's future is dictated by wrestling's past. When you think about wrestling starting as Gotch and Hackenschmidt wrestling for 57 hours in Comiskey Park in front of tens of thousands of people to where we are today.
Yeah.
Every single decision about how to make this a more fan-friendly sport got us here. And
Lily Dolls sold out. Listen, I get there are many aspects of WWE that are not for me anymore. But that's me. I've aged out.
But they weren't for us. They weren't for us when we were kids.
Watching wrestling with my dad, when my dad was 39, 38 years old, and I was a kid, I was 5 or whatever, I would be, I would watch it, and my father would watch it too, and he had his favorites, but he thought that the whole Hulkamania thing was so hacky because he grew up on a whole different generation of wrestling.
Exactly, and that's what happened with us, and also you get older, your tastes change.
Yeah, like, I don't want the, like, I gotta tell you, I know the deathmatch stuff doesn't bother you as much. I am not a deathmatch guy. I don't like deathmatch wrestling. It doesn't do it for me. I get that it does something for other people. It's not my deal. I'm not gonna go out of my way to seek it. Yeah, are there elements of it that I enjoy? Sure. But I don't go out of my way to seek it, and I think that's the thing here. I think, WWE is trying to create a product that is appealing to everybody, even people that have never seen wrestling. They're also trying to appeal to the globe. India, 56 million people watch WrestleMania. An obscene number. But what does that mean? What does that mean? 56 million people in India watched WrestleMania. What does that mean? I have no idea. And I don't think WWE knows either.
That means that whatever time they need to, they can sell an India tour and make millions of dollars.
That's the concept. But you know what? They would have done it by now if they could.
Well, when you take a look with everything going on with the pandemic, you take a look with the lack of Indian talent to build out. Like Veer cannot make a card alone. And when you're looking at, oh, our rights deal with Sony 6 is coming up soon. Yeah. How do we incentivize them to give us a bucket of money?
Yeah.
So it's all about how do you get to where you got to go to.
It's like very
how much is left on the Fox and Comcast deals? Like 2-3 years?
Couple more years.
Watch you get to a point where those stadium shows are super loaded. Next year, like 2023, 2024.
Which they plan on running more stadium shows. I mean, more than
that.
Yeah, like
those stadium shows are going to be so loaded to justify from each person that buys the rights to the network, to Raw, to SmackDown, to NXT. $2 billion for Raw, $2 billion for SmackDown, right? $2 billion for the network.
Eventually.
They can, I think that their next deal, they're going to try to pull $6 billion.
You think so? I don't know what they're getting now. But, I mean,
they're getting around a total of about, with the network, I'd say $3 billion. All in.
Unbelievable.
But look at how much Fox has gone in on the WWE, and look at how Comcast.
It needs them. Comcast
They rely. It's on it's carrying Peacock. Yeah. It's the loss leader for Peacock.
It's right helping. Now. Yeah, big time. But even on USA, I think USA is like number 14 in cable. USA and TNT
they used to be number one. They used to be number one in cable.
I got to see the number,
the entire strategy shifted.
I got to find that chart. I got to find it. But
if you look at USA 2019, 2020, Mr. Robot, Suits, all these shows, they made a huge pivot to reality programming.
Yeah, and Law and Order.
And all their big shows, Chucky, partnership with Sci-Fi, Raw, sports entertainment. Everything else is either sports, because they're carrying the water because NBC Sportsnet went away. And I don't know. I don't think this network has a philosophy. I don't think Peacock. A lot of the no USA. I think Peacock is something that started way too fast and didn't have the support system to catch up quickly.
Yeah, now they're getting it. Now they're kind of piecing it together. But I think you're right with USA. WWE, they are the juggernaut on that station.
They're the lifeblood of the network.
Like, because if you remove that 1.5 million, I think their average is like 600,000, 653,000,
you're right.
Something like that. I could be wrong.
Because if you look at all their new programming, what is it really? Like, they had The Sinner, which is, they had, like, I would say a solid 20% of their programming is scripted. The rest of it is reality.
We got to wrap it up here, by the way.
Yeah.
We are out of time. But I think it's a very interesting conversation to have. So they have Law and Order, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Temptation Island, The Courtship, NXT, Crisley. I don't even know if all these shows are on still, or what. Ms. and Mrs., Grown Up Crisley, More Crisley, Last Man Standing. I don't even know if that's a first run
Those
show.
are all, you're listing all syndicated shows and reality shows. And the Crisleys are currently on trial for tax stuff.
Yeah.
They in trouble with the government, so that takes out their biggest tentpole non-wrestling franchise.
That's wild.
Like, that puts it on pause.
Listen, we're out of time. I got to get out of here. I thought that was a very insightful conversation. I had a lot of fun talking to you, Matt. Where can people find you?
Here. You can find me on Twitter at Matt Ryan Yells. You can also watch my wrestling company. That's right, I own a professional wrestling company. On Twitter at Catalyst Wrestle. You can watch Catalyst Wrestling every single week on YouTube every Wednesday. We drop new episodes. Every Thursday, we drop stuff from the vault. But also, you can watch us Saturday mornings on Gas Digital Network absolutely free, or watch it in HD with a Gas Digital account. You can also watch us on the Fight Network and also syndicated on Captivate TV, KVVB out of Victorville, California, every Monday night after Raw, and also on the new Dumont Network every Saturday night. Or you can just go to catalystwrestling.com for more information, but subscribe to us on YouTube. and ring that notification bell. We got some great matches coming up. JD Drake versus Darius Carter. We also have on Amazon Prime our last full show, Ewing. Our next show, Fear and Loathing in NYC, is coming up. And also Catalyst Wrestling will return on July 16th to New York City. So follow Catalyst Wrestling on Twitter at Catalyst Wrestle for more information on how you can join us right here in Brooklyn.
We needed that little, that old school Crockett screen going up for all the areas that you're going to be visiting. Guys, that's it for this week. I will see you all in Las Vegas. See you next time.